Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel and I'm here with two different cards that were made using the Simon Says Stamp Kit Club for August 2017. I just want to show you everything that's included in the kit and then show you how I quickly made these two cards. So this is the whole August 2017 kit. There are 16 single-sided papers that are 6x6 from the Pinkfresh Live More collection. From the same Pinkfresh Live More collection, there's also puffy stickers. This is the Simon Says Stamp exclusive set, the You and Me stamp set. I really like those borders. You get the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide and Cracked Pistachio and the Wow Cloud9 Sparkling Embossing Glitter. And then you get 5 pieces of cardstock. This is Simon Says Stamp cardstock that coordinates perfectly, especially with those puffy stickers and with the pattern papers as well. So I'm going to use my mini guillotine trimmer from Tim Holtz to trim down some of the cardstock and pattern papers. I really like using this trimmer in particular when I'm card making because it has all the card sizes on that grid there right on the base. So it's really easy to start with a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch piece of the dark gray cardstock, which is slate cardstock. And then I cut slightly smaller size of the mint. I cut a 4 by 5 1/4. And then I took a piece of the pattern paper from the Pinkfresh 6x6 piece and I cut that even smaller. So now I'm going to put that pattern paper in my MISTI and I'm going to use the creative corners because I want to stamp diagonally across this rectangle and I want to be able to overhang the stamp on the sides. So if I had to butt up the pattern paper against the edge of the MISTI, I wouldn't be able to do that effectively. So using the creative corners is really great for this type of stamping where you're going diagonally across a rectangle or your card. So I'm going to ink up my stamp with the Simon Says Stamp Clear Embossing ink, and I'm going to stamp out, I think I used the triangles for this one, yes. And now I'm going to take a coffee filter and I'm going to pour the Cloud9 Glitter Embossing powder over that stamping, and already even before you heat set it, it's absolutely beautiful. It's very fine silver glitter, and once you heat emboss it, it becomes even more stunning and glittery. Now I'm going to use the same embossing ink. This time I'm going to use some anti-static because I'm going to stamp the sentiment love and the little heart, and I can't remember which sub-sentiment I used, and I want to make sure that none of this white embossing powder gets anywhere else on the cardstock. So that's why I use that anti-static, and this little organizer is great for my white embossing powder because I have so much of it. I don't just have one tiny little container. Now I'm going to wipe off that anti-static once I've heat set it and dried completely and let it cool. Now I'm going to take just a plain circle die. This is a Lawn Fawn circle die, and I'm going to cut out that little stamped sentiment there. Now I'm just going to start layering everything on top of each other using some Thermoweb tape runner. This is the Memory Runner XL, and in order to adhere my little stamped sentiment there, I'm going to use some Thermoweb Zots. These are the 3D Zots, so they have dimension, but they are clear, so you can't see them from behind. Now I'm going to take everything and put it on a standard card base. It's 4 1/4 by 5.5 top folding note card that I created out of Gina K white cardstock, which is nice and thick. I'm going to take one of those puffy stickers, put that on top, and then I decided to add one thing that wasn't in the kit, which was just some sequins. These Pinkfresh sequins, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I like to use them pretty much all the time. So I'm just going to fiddle around with where I want these guys. These are the clear confetti sequins, and I have 1 pack of them and it's lasting me forever, even though I use them all the time. I'm going to adhere those down with the Ranger Multi-Medium Matte, and I'm using the Derice tip here on that, and that really is a great flow for the adhesive, but is also a nice fine tip, so it's a great balance. And that's the first card. Super easy, super quick to get it done, but I love that graphic look that this kit provides. So now I'm going to do my second card. I'm going to use the same trimmer that I used in the first card, and this time I'm going to play around with some more of that pattern paper there. I have the mint cardstock for my card sort of panel there, the base of my panel, and I've cut a piece of the cardstock that's like a grid, but I have it shorter on one side because I want another piece of pattern paper kind of hanging out there. So I grabbed that. It's kind of like a peach coral, and I really like the way that looks, both with that kind of neutral tone grid and then with the mint as well. So this one's got two different pattern papers, and I'm just going to cut a little strip of this one. There's no reason to make a whole mat and just waste it. So I'm just going to, I cut it a little bit wider than I actually needed it, but you'll see there that I didn't need to cut the entire rectangle, say a 4 by 5 1/4. To get everything to kind of line up together and coordinate, I'm going to ink all the edges with the Distress Oxide ink, and I'm using an ink blending tool to do this. And I really, really like the way that these Distress Oxide inks ink the edges of cardstock and pattern paper. They're very smooth. They almost have a chalky appearance, but they dry much, much more quickly than a chalk ink would. So I think inking the edges of all of these papers kind of ties them all together, and it really brings in that mint color too on both of the other colored pattern papers. Now I'm going to use that really cool stamp, and I wasn't sure how I was going to use it. First I was going to create a rectangle with two of them together, and then I decided I really liked it almost more like a check mark. So I have it again with the creative corners in the MISTI so that I can again stamp off the side of that rectangle. You can see that it hangs off both edges, and that's really easy to do when you use the creative corners. They have those magnets in it, and it keeps it right where it needs to be in the center of the MISTI. So I'm going to stamp this a couple of times. It's an extra large stamp, and so it's hard for me to get a really good impression by making sure I press down on all the parts. And I want it to be pretty vibrant, so on top of that pattern paper, which is great with the Distress inks, you can absolutely stamp on even dark cardstocks, craft, and pattern paper, but I really wanted it to stand out, so I did stamp it a few times. Now I have the other large sentiment in this exclusive stamp set for Simon Says Stamp, and it says "You and me equals awesome," and I have another little heart. And this time I'm going to stamp this in black. I'm just going to use VersaFine black onyx ink, and I'm going to stamp this a couple of times too because I really, really want, again, a vibrant image. And when you're stamping on pattern paper, sometimes it gets washed away in the pattern, but I think actually in the video it looks fine, but in person I really felt like it needed a couple of more stampings, and so I did that. I'm cleaning off my stamp with my Lawn Fawn chamois there, and cleaning off the MISTI a little bit as well. Then I took a couple of those little itty bitty triangles that were on the puffy stickers, and I kind of sprinkled them like confetti across the card panel there. And now again I'm just layering everything up using that Thermoweb Memory Runner XL, just making sure that I put that one strip of pattern paper so that the margin was going to be the same on all sides, tops and bottom and sides. And once I adhere that, then my card is pretty much done. So you can see how quickly these two cards came together. Both of them have that really fun kind of graphic sort of trendy look to them, and I really liked how easy it was to create that look with this card kit. So I'm going to link all of these products down below, including the Simon Says Stamp August 2017 card kit and some other products that I used if you're interested in taking a look at those. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. Have a great day.